I'm telling you,
Is
when
being
you get
recorded.
COVID the second time, you're like, my brain fog and my ability to remember things is greatly diminished. I was struggling with basic keywords today.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Like, it scared me. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah. So,
Sorry,
all right,
it's
we're
me.
recorded.
Brain, no.
So yeah, Carly, you have a little something you want to read to us?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now that I've carefully looked back on my past and acknowledged the different parts of me, I feel a mixture of relief at the fact that I'm not totally crazy by hearing different voices deep inside my head, but I also feel confused at the inner critic's transformation from an enemy that acted like a spoiled brat to someone completely different. Perhaps she too had grown just like the other sides of who I am. Now, where do we go from here? I think we all know who the true enemy is, and that is the poisonous ideology of systemic ableism that we need to face as confident youth. But how do we fight an ideology that we don't even know who are the ones carrying it and perhaps infecting other people with it? Asked the critical self. I wish I knew for sure, but I think joining forces with the coalition was a good first step, she replied. I trust whichever path you choose for us, since you have grown a lot from that timid little girl who stepped out of that tower so long ago, the warrior said. I have to admit, she has a point. When you stood up to me, you got me to do what I've been avoiding for so long. That was to examine myself closer than I have ever done before, and not just the role that I have played, said the inner critic, and that's all I have so far.
wow.
Love
That's
it.
awesome.
That's so cool.
Really good, Curly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Very good.
You know how to keep somebody's interest. Like I'm just
Mm.
like, what? I'm like, yeah. I don't want you to stop.
I like the inner dialogue, the way you're taking the inner dialogue to make it. Yeah.
Kind of gave me chills, Curly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
That is
That's
just
really a
so
good
good. I don't know what I expected from you, but you would just I yeah, no, it was really good. And the fact that I don't have words,
that
that
says a
should
lot.
speak volumes to you.
Mm. I think that that's something that we really need to find ways to do more of, is to get our voice out there. Like whether it's a platform like there's like the human stories that we can tell and share some of these. Crystal Bateman wrote a letter about her son Nathaniel that she asked. I shared it with quite a few politicians and that about the loss of respite care. And like when I read it to Muriel, the two of us were crying. Like it's that poignant. Like, and I was like, there's no way that someone could hear that letter and not be like, they've got to put respite care back on the table. Like they have to. And I think the more that people hear these stories from us, I think that that's key to getting. It's
Yeah.
therapeutic for us too sometimes to tell our stories, but
Well,
I think
it's not
it helps
only
them.
therapeutic, but it has like nobody would tell them otherwise, right? Because
Right, exactly.
other
Yeah.
people have the mic that don't have disabilities, that it's not an accurate view, right? Like,
Yeah.
how long have you been writing that, Carly?
Well, this is a newer one that I started during this week.
Okay.
The other one sort of mainly does with the diving into my inner self, the different parts of me, and let's just say the inner child basically tells the inner critic to go to its room, for lack of better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very
That's
good.
awesome.
Well-
Like the courses that I take there, it's like I have a couple teachers, and that's what the course is called, Going Within. That's what you're doing. You're going within, and it's like we go like to our inner child, like exactly what you're doing, like it's smart, it's hard work, like it's to really like
Oh, yeah.
take the time.
It took
and
me a long time to get to that level.
Mhm.
do you have,
A lot
like,
of encouragement from my friends at the Moncton Creative Writers Group, and particularly two very emotionally intelligent, intuitive people saw the story that was just at the surface, and they sort of suggested going into my thoughts and emotions, and
Yeah.
it kind of
Mm.
part of the use of the four-letter S word. It snowballed from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
power in that for sure.
And I'm
girl.
just
Own it.
like myself, I'm just like so proud because like you have such a way with words, and like you always make me laugh with your Carlyisms, I'm gonna call them.
Carlism,
Yeah,
love it.
as Dr. Wheelock used to refer to them.
But yeah, no, it's like good job. Please keep going.
Yeah.
So how does it work? Like, you mentioned a course, Kathleen, like, do you do like, prompts to get to your inner thing, or like, you ask specific questions, or?
We do different exercises.
Uh,
I think she's frozen.
she froze. Okay, good. I thought it was me. It's usually me.
There we go. Sorry.
That's all right.
It's a platform called Kajabi, and both my teachers use it. And that's where you'll find like previous like videos and like exercises. Like today, one of my exercises I had to doodle.
Okay.
So, and I posted my doodle in the group, and my teacher was like, "What messages do you get from your doodle?" And I was just like, the first thing that came to mind was just like, keep shining on, like keep on shining on was my first thing. And I said, it felt like a very energetic emitting doodle. And wait a second, I'll show you.
Can you show us?
I think so. Hold on a second. Oh, close that. I think I can post it in the, I'm not very technical, so we'll see there. Okay, wait.
You should, yeah. You find it.
Copy, chat, paste. I don't know if this is gonna work.
Hi, Paulette. We're just, Kathleen is going to show us a doodle that she did. It's from a course that she's taking about inner
Inner work.
self. Inner work?
Yeah, it's spirituality and intuition, and it's very interesting. Why can I do this?
So what do you do, Carly? Do you you just start writing? You just go and then you go to your group and they give you feedback? Is that?
Yeah,
do you
that's
like a process?
basically what they do.
Wow,
Excuse me.
that's all you, baby.
Yeah.
Holy.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
has anyone ever used the heart thing to teach them how to like, or to work on what to write about?
The heart.
So I
thing?
used to do this with my students all the time. So it would start off very easy. I would make everyone draw a heart. Like they had to turn their notebook, landscape wise, they draw a heart. And then I would put the timer on the smart board and I'd say, I want you to put as many things inside that heart that are important to you. Just one word or two words, right?
Sure.
So I could put things like my cat, like I could put Elvis and Lady Gaga and coffee and just different things that are important to me. There has to be no rhyme or reason to them, right?
Kathleen,
It could be
Yeah.
colors, it could be shape, whatever, right? And you give them 1 minute. And then at the end of the minute, you would make everyone stop and they'd look at their heart and they would have to go put little stars by, you pick a number, 3, 5 items that are their most important ones. And then I would play music and they would have to walk around the classroom. And when the music stopped, whoever they were standing closest to, they had to share their asterisk things and why they were important. And then you would go back, you would do that a couple times. You go back to your spot, you would pick one of your asterisk things, and then they would just sit down and write. And I would give them like 2 minutes. They would just write. It didn't have to like be incomplete sentences or start with it, but just write about it. And then the same thing, then they would go walk around and share that with someone, and they could pick, it just sort of helped guide them on, without them thinking about it, they were picking something that was really close to their heart. And when it's close to your heart, it's easier to write about.
Yes.
And it just sort of prompted people that want to write but don't know where to start to write. It prompts them to find that piece, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really cool, Shelley.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
it. Like there's a thing, like I said, there was lots of things shared this week on your group. And one of them was a humanology thing. I'll put the link in the chat when I find it. But essentially you write a story. It's a contest, and just by you participating, just by you submitting a piece of writing to them, it could be a poem, it could be a short story, whatever. You get entrance into their free workshops that are virtual on
Okay.
writing. So yeah, and you have a chat. If you win, you get to be in a magazine, and I think there's like a cash prize. I forget, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there's not just visual arts, you know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of things. So like they said, there's a playwriting circle as well, and they're all kind of due this week, I think, at the end of the month.
Okay.
There's like an acting class, and the acting class is specifically geared towards persons with disabilities because of the lack of representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have like beginner level and intermediate level, and they have like even voice acting. It's not just the regular acting. So anyway.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because I realized there's many different, types of art. And last month, we heard some beautiful poems from Jessica and Kathleen. I don't know if you saw that, but it's in the recording if you missed it. But yeah, we have a couple new people here, like Paulette and Jerry. I'm curious, and Caitlin.
Sorry. Yeah. And even Maria wasn't at the last one. So
yeah, and Suzanne, right? Yeah.
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 You guys have anything new to share? Working on?
There was one thing that it was funny because I kind of like Shelley with the education thing. I actually graduated from high school and I couldn't read. I was totally illiterate.
Oh wow!
And a few years back, the Northrop Fry, I think you know what I'm talking about,
Yes,
Shelley?
in Moncton.
Literacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to write a poem or story or whatever. So I wrote a poem about what it was like not being able to read.
Oh, wow.
I actually came in first place for that. So
do you still have
Hey,
it?
félicitations.
actually, if you give me 2 seconds, I can probably go find it. I know where it is.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be
course,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll put you on mute so you don't.
Okay.
Okay.
So this all ties in great. Like, so for people that weren't at the last, well, actually the only ones at the last were myself, Jessica, Ysabelle, and who was the
Kathleen.
fourth? Oh, Kathleen, right. I told you my brain's got, and we came up with this idea about using art. The word we came up with was the art ruckus, but it can be anything. Art as, actually, Jessica, you are really good at explaining this. Can you take this over? Because I can't explain it right, especially when it comes to art.
So we were talking about the art ruckus. Ysabelle and I had jokingly said some things before our meeting about like the art ruckus and like let the ruckus begin, and it fits so perfectly with art for social change. So basically, I know kind of how that came up was it was mentioned, you guys are looking at doing a protest in November, and we were saying like, that's super great, that's wonderful. But that's one point in time. Doing some of these art for social change things is, it leaves a tangible, permanent mark. It's an ongoing thing. Even just as, persons with disabilities doing art, it pulls people in, it pulls in, it makes statements. It's definitely a worthy thing to be doing. So, and please prompt me with questions because you'll probably get more information out of me that way. So, yeah, just kind of stuff like that. Like we were talking about flash mob at one point, like Shelley had mentioned, like having kind of like a jail type thing at like a mall.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about different, just kind of showing the difference, I guess. And it's like kind of doing stuff in public. We can also do stuff not in public as well, and like even have like a virtual gallery and different things like
Yeah.
that. Just because like, yeah, it'll definitely be highlighting the things that we're
Yeah.
going through, because this is our platform to be telling our story. This is our platform to be saying, hey, this is what we're going through. This is, you
Yeah.
know, it gives people a look into your life.
Hmm. And it goes back to what we were saying earlier, like, telling our story. So art, it doesn't have to be that, like a lot of people picture with a painting or that. We were even saying, like I said, I had that poem that Jordan wrote about me and being disabled in Fredericton. I was saying, like, I could see that on a black background with just my eye in the corner and teardrops coming down. And then each teardrop would have a paragraph or a stanza of the poem in it.
Oh, and I have a recording of it too, so we could put it in a video.
Yeah,
and
in a
like,
video, yeah.
Yeah, and then we could have like the teardrop as the background.
Yeah.
I think like video format would be good, because then you can put subtitles, you can share it.
I
Yeah.
can probably even do most of it now in sign language from my course,
Absolutely.
because I'm learning it.
Awesome.
I would be slow at signing,
Come on.
Love it.
could do some of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it all ties in with this, because, and I think it was something that you posted, Ysabelle, but there is, let's see if I can find it now. Here. There's this thing called the Rio Pad, or I'm not sure. It says the sea to sea. And we have till some point at the end of mid-October to apply, but they're looking to sponsor one group in each province with this art to tell a story, right? And it can be.
Where did you see that? Sorry.
It was on our Facebook page, I think, or maybe I came across it on social media somewhere.
I don't think it was on ours.
Okay, well then I came across it on social media somewhere. I thought I posted, but I've got it here on my stuff. So it's talking about artists, cultural workers, organizations, local communities creating public works of art. It could be murals or sculptures or visual works or musicals, literary, anything, right? Creating participatory workshops, initiative based on culture media. Now, this is a thing. Each project has to focus on one or more of these themes. But there's the ode to nature of art and the environment. And I was thinking, what if we did ode to nature, how we are being cut off from art and the environment often because of our disabilities, because of the way the systems are set up, often the environment or the art is being denied to us because you can't get into a gallery because it's not accessible. Or you want to go to a national park, but there's no accessible washrooms and all this stuff, right? So we could apply that nature part, but again, that disallowed because of the disability, right? And how it has to change.
Yeah, so it would be the physical environment, right?
Right, yeah.
And so we could do like maybe what it would look like if it was accessible.
Right.
Like sometimes they call it like an imagined future.
Right.
Which is nice, because then it's not us maybe complaining about lack of accessibility, because I feel people know that, but it's like, what would it look like if it was accessible? Like, what if we had these things? What if you could write it in a sci-fi universe if you want to, like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Even
Sorry, I thought I
looking
would share my screen and I wasn't. So this is it here, right? Sorry, I told you my brain's bad, and it's part of the Canada, Foundation. There is money.
Culture2.ca.
Yeah, there is some money available. There's one per province, but like they are saying, there's up to X amount available, but it's only like 10% of. So if you were going to get 5,000, you would have to put in 45,000 to get 5,000. But I don't think we would need very much money to do this anyways, right? So that's the nice thing, because it would be asking people to support any of this stuff that they want. Like if they do a painting and they want to submit it, they submit it. And we could have that online platform. We could go to a couple local galleries and see if they would display some of it. I know that the Charlotte Street one here in Fredericton's always saying they'd be willing to put things up, stuff like that. And we can look at, you know, oh, and I've got a link with a gentleman from the anyways, I forget the name, the overarching band that does all of Atlantic Canada. Is it Wabanaki? Yeah. His name is Solisek. Anyway, Jenna Atwin connected me with them, and he's the head of their disability council. So we
Okay.
want things together. So, you know, maybe we could get some Indigenous art involved in that as well from the disability perspective. And it could be kind of a cool little project that it's like you're saying, we're talking, we're showing our stuff. And it's there forever, right? It stays there forever, which is sort of what Jessica was talking about. It's always there. So it's not a one and done thing, which is nice.
Right. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to make stuff permanent, right? So there's
Yeah.
like public art, there's, you know, creating a website, creating a book, creating a zine, all kinds of stuff, right?
I found the poem.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, cool. Okay, go ahead. Let's stop
What?
my share here.
Go
Go ahead
ahead.
and do you want to share with us? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Read to Freedom. First place winner at the writers contest, it says on the top. And then my poem starts. My brain was in prison when I could not read. It was easily to be deceived. Being lonely and full of despair, I couldn't read and didn't really care. Life was not fair. With anger and full of rage, not being able to read, this was part of the stage. Hiding the fact I could not read, I deceived people to help me with my needs. With low self-esteem and not being able to read, in me this could be seen. One day I saw a number on the wall. If you can't read, please give us a call. I tried to talk my way out of reading. It did not last. This is when I started my first literacy class. My teacher looked at me and taught me this reading skill. It started my self-esteem climbing up the hill. Even though the education system failed me, I can appreciate words and read to feel free. It took the feeling of shame and embarrassment away. It helped me make it through another day. I have a second chance to go to school. The skills I've learned is a valuable tool. Power and knowledge is the key. It's a light that shines through the door just for me. Unique styles of learning is a neat thing to say. I learn different and unique. For this, I choose to stay. My brain is out of prison. I am free. Now I can read because I'm proud of me.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow, beautiful.
as they would do in the
Yeah.
artist world, the little Snapchat. Oh, that's
What?
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
People are giving you
all of
thumbs up
this-
and hearts and
Yeah.
little hearts. I don't know if you can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
Wow.
and most of this started very simply. Let me see if I can find the picture that started this whole discussion.
Are you working on anything, Caitlin?
I submitted a article to the MB Media Co-op. I'm just waiting for them to edit it.
Nice. Yeah,
So
you've been
that's
writing a
one
few
thing
articles with them. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
I've got
I
two that are
like to
going in
write with
too.
them.
So are they all listed? Like, is there a place on the website where they're all listed? You can see all the articles you guys have written about it?
You can just like kind of type my name
type in
or
a person's
Shelley's
name,
name and
yeah.
they'll come up. I
Yeah, but
think.
it'd be cool to have like a listing, you know what I mean? Like here are all the,
Yeah. I clip mine virtually and keep them all. I'm working on one right now called take a vacay the accessible way. And it's about the lack of accessibility in vacation spots in Atlantic Canada. Peggy's Cove is boasting itself as this very accessible place. And Accessibility Canada is like, no, it's not. Philip Briscoe was just so upset with that place and what they did and what they wasted money on.
Shelley,
Yes.
did you guys get a thing? We had a note sent to us about this guy that wanted to take pictures of us at the beach. And
Yes. Okay,
Really?
so he just, I got a hold of him the other day. And he just said it is a shit show right now. He's learning what it's like to work with the government in New Brunswick. They're going to put it off to the spring. He said because they can't get the transportation organized. They can't, if they get then something else falls through. So they're going to wait till the spring right now because we're getting into crappy weather and other things. And he says just a mess. So come this spring, they're going to do it.
But
yeah,
the
if you're
thing
talking
is-
about Parley, it's all ruined from the storm.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
but the thing is,
Yeah.
he
And it
didn't-
had actually, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the problem that I had with him is that he asked, like, there's one lady that got a bunch of people together. We understand that they may not be able to do it, but he never kept in contact with us. We always had to contact him, right?
He's
So
one guy doing about 20 people's work right now. That's the
What?
problem. He's one person doing about the job of 20 people. There's where the
Okay.
problem is right now.
that makes
So-
sense. I appreciate that.
I was going to post something on our page because I texted him the other day and got a hold of him, found out. But I've been so sick with COVID that I didn't do it. And I'm pretty sure that I told him I will post something. So that's on me.
No, I just know, because if we don't know the facts and what's
You
going
don't know.
on,
Yeah. Yeah.
so,
It's hard.
I mean, I'll send him a note and let him know that we're still interested in the spring and leave
Yep.
it at that.
Yeah. That'd be, yeah. He
'Cause I don't wanna
definitely
be-
wants to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to be mean. You know what I mean? I'm not into
Yep.
that. So,
No.
but I'll let him know, right? So that
Yeah.
he's got our contacts. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for
Yeah.
clarifying that. I appreciate it.
No worries. Yes. I can't find the picture I was going to show you guys, but if any of you saw it on Facebook that started this whole discussion with the art ruckus, it was a really cool picture that Cass had put up of her laying on the floor with like her wheelchair wheel or a bike wheel or something on top of her. And she
Oh,
wanted to like come up with a name for it or something. And I can't remember if it was Jessica or Isabel, we were chatting and we came up with the double-edged wheel instead of like the double-edged sword, because
Yeah.
sometimes her wheelchair is freedom, but sometimes she feels like it enslaves her, right? And it
I
traps her
found it,
into
Shelley. If you can
Oh, perfect.
share the
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah,
s-
you should be able to. You should be able to just go.
Okay, let me see.
Okay.
Okay. And then do I hit enter? Share. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, there it
wow.
is.
Yeah, I
Gee, that's a
remember
good one.
That's really
Yeah,
cool.
so she was asking if you guys had a name, or sorry, you folks had a name for this image. Is there something that comes to mind when you see it?
Face through the wheel.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Face through the wheel.
Face through the
Facing
wheel.
your facing issues through the wheel.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
I like the idea of like access and then / denied, because
Yeah.
it's like she's kind of trapped behind it, but her wheelchair does give her accessibility. Like it does
Mm.
give her access to a lot, but it also,
That's a
it's
powerful picture.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's quite striking, isn't it?
Yeah. And her biggest issue is she always finds that it's not the wheelchair that denies her. It's the way she feels people look at her when she's in the wheelchair. That's her
Yeah.
issue. And Cash really struggles. It's the way she feels that she is looked at, which comes back to a lack of understanding. by people, right? A lack of understanding. So,
Well, it's also systemic ableism too.
oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, part of systemic ableism is a lack of understanding. People are just ignorant and they do whatever the hell and say whatever the hell they want, right?
I was gonna
So-
say, I get scared at a lot because I got a black patch on my eye.
Oh yeah.
And it's adults that stare at me. It's not the kids.
Oh no, kids are great.
Yeah, I find that too. Sorry, you got me passionate there. I find that too. And then I like to give a teaching moment because the kids will ask questions, but parents are like, oh no, don't bother that woman. And I'm like, no, I'd like to if that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do that constantly. It's a teaching moment every time I
Yeah.
go out anywhere.
Mhm.
But what makes me mad is that I went into Value Village one day, and these little kids, they didn't even know what the word meant. Look at the midget. Look at the midget, mommy. Look at the midget.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's a midget, my dear. Right? And I just look, I had to leave the store. I was so mad. I was mad at that parent for teaching them their kids ignorance. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't believe it. I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
You know,
The first 6 months that my MCS was really like after I had to stop working and all that, and I wasn't wearing a respirator yet. I was just wearing my black respiro mask. The amount of people that would come up to me, they go, "Can you just say it? Can you just say it?" They wanted me to say, "Luke, I am your father." And it was
Oy
adults.
God.
It was coworkers. Can you just say it? Can you just say it?
Work.
Can you imagine?
Star Wars geeks. Oy, oy. Sort of a
Yeah.
face palm moment.
Like to
Yeah.
them, it's like, oh, what's the big deal? You know, but it's like if you just keep saying stuff like that, like day in, day out, it's like, listen, like this is not my
well,
responsibility.
Yeah.
I've had kids call me a pirate.
I'm
Right?
so
Oh, yeah.
mad I'm spazzing right now.
Well, and that's where these came from. I have these little business cards that say, "Why the mask? Learn about MCS." And it's got my Wix site on it. And I would
Oh,
give it
nice.
to people. And if you
Yeah.
went there, it had all kinds of information about MCS.
Uh-huh.
But I mean,
And
whoops, sorry.
I was just gonna say, Norm wants me to get a vest done for this winter because in the summer, sometimes I'll have like my canary shirt on or different things. But in the winter, if I've got my coat and I go for groceries, I'm gonna get a vest that goes over it. That's the same thing. Why the mask? Learn about MCS/tilt and leave it at that, and they can look it up or not. But you know, it's
You could add a QR code to your vest if you
Yeah.
want. That
That's
will
what I
take
was
them to your
thinking.
website.
yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna add a QR code for the exhibition that we're in, Jessica.
Yeah.
Because we don't have like an explanation of the path, the winding path, and the
Okay.
little mannequins either.
Yeah.
So I can, if I have a printer, I can just set up a link there and do that.
If
But
you
yeah.
need me to write something, just send me a reminder in Messenger later and I will do it up.
Yeah. So I saw Muriel has been doing a lot of, what is it called? Arts. I've been seeing a lot of things there on the Facebooks.
She's got me doing it too.
Oh, yeah?
Zentangle.
Mandalas. I'm obsessed with them.
Mandalas, okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm obsessed with it.
Oh, she's
Oh,
showing us something
wow.
here. Wow.
Wow.
Will you
Oh,
share the screen, Miriam, and show us some of your stuff? I love her stuff.
You're on
Oh, I
mute,
love
by the
that
way.
one, Paulette. Yeah,
I'm coloring right now, but I am obsessed with.
I love that you're doing it now.
Can you show me for that?
Can you show it again, Paulette? I missed it.
Yeah, I missed it too.
It's just coloring. It's adult coloring, but
Oh,
No,
wow.
not
That's
Good.
fantastic.
just. It's never just. Adult coloring is awesome.
Absolutely.
So many
Well,
little
It's
details.
wonderful.
Black and white too. I'm into the black and white and gray and all shades of black and white and gray. Right
well,
now.
Muriel and I must be on the same wavelength because when I saw her work, I was thinking, I've been doing this now for like the last 4 months, right?
Mhm.
I bought these weird pencils. They weren't on my budget, Shelley.
That's on you. We're done with that. You're doing that now by yourself, baby.
Where'd you get those, Muriel?
What are they?
These are from Amazon. I like working on black or dark paper. So this is like I thought it was charcoal, white charcoal, but it's actually it says soft pastel.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
It feels more like charcoal to me.
Yeah, very lovely. You can
Nice.
blend them quite easily.
Muriel, I don't know if you know, but at Michael's the other day, they had a great big stamp that was a mandala.
Oh, wow.
I love mandalas.
Oh,
Have
I'm
you seen?
If I participate in the ruckus, it'll be some type of mandala that will represent, I don't know, levels of something.
I don't know if you knew, Muriel, but a long time ago, when I got into healing, like from my drug addiction,
Yeah.
there was a lady that lived here in Moncton, and we used to have a bookstore downtown. It used to be called the Owl's Attic. Owl's Attic.
Oh, wow.
And she taught mandalas. Like we had to draw them to how we felt. And I didn't even know it was about that, but it was interesting.
Are we seeing the nice art Muriel made lately here? And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty, isn't it?
That's so cool.
The flamingo is not recent though.
Oh,
That was from
okay.
a friend who lived in Alberta and
Your profile is recent, I should say.
she's transitioned to
And
another
then
world.
we've got some more members here. We've got Kathleen.
Make this.
Kathleen.
Look at you with long
Kathleen,
hair,
great
Kathy.
hair.
Yeah. J'aime ça.
Yeah. And then there's a few of you missing. I don't know, you gotta.
I'm going to put some at some point some of my writing and do something.
Got Jessica here. Got some little what do they call these? Felt?
Yeah, they're little
Yeah.
felted sculptures.
Little fuzzies.
Yeah, they're little felted sculptures.
I sneeze just looking
And then
at
like
this.
I don't forget about the writing, by the way. Like we can put writers down here too.
Yeah.
All kinds of yes.
And
There's like-
another idea that we had for the ruckus that would sort of go in with all this would be really cool would be, we were thinking for Danny, he could do like his Wheel of Fortune, but instead of the Wheel of Fortune would be the Wheel of Misfortune. And instead of instead of having like the win a trip or this or that, he could have some of the ableist things that we see in society all the time, right? And
Oh, that's a really good idea.
that would be cool on there because Danny's got some great talents when it comes to these game shows. And there's some really cool ways that he could incorporate it.
He
It
made
could be
it.
part of.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was
Why
gonna
does
say it could be part of an unfair fair. There, that's my comment.
Oh,
That's
I
Like
like
a
that.
carnival.
Oh, I love that unfair fair.
A carnival of the island of misfit toys sort of situation.
Oh, yeah.
The misfits.
Yeah.
Caitlin likes that.
Yeah.
that
So
word.
So
Jerry,
one thing I noticed, we haven't added music or
yeah.
I haven't like I know some people in the group are musicians. Like I've seen a post or two of people playing guitar or singing or what have you, but I
Well, I
have,
was going to ask Jerry if he thought like we all have. I mean, if I can sit there and find art talent in me, which is like really hard to do, would you could you see yourself participating in this with us? And if so,
What is
what?
it? That's doing.
Doing this art ruckus thing.
Did you say reckless?
So I'm asking if Jerry would. He's been quiet
Jerry.
tonight on the chat. So
Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear you now.
Always
Yes.
quiet.
Okay. All right. I'm unmuted. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an artsy person. I have to kind of be in the mood to do
Uh-huh.
it. Like I know years ago, my wife Melissa, she was into Harley Quinn. I don't know if you guys know who that is. She's a character.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I painted a picture of Joker's face, and I took some some of the small canvases. So it was on a big canvas, and I took some of the small canvases, painted them red and black, and put them as the diamonds down the side of it. So it looks like that's down the side of it. That's pretty much my art talent right there.
Yeah.
But I mean, anyone that's looked at my Facebook, you can see that every now and then, I'll just get in a mood and I write stuff, and I've always been told my writing's pretty good.
You're a very, very good writer.
Yeah.
So do you have anything you'd like to share with us? I haven't seen your writing.
Not off the top of my head, unfortunately. Like I said, I have to be in the mood to write it. So most of the stuff that I write is usually out of anger or frustration.
Okay.
And it's like at the spur of the moment thing. So like I said, I don't know if we're friends on Facebook, and it's probably public anyways, but if you just go through my Facebook timeline, I can't remember when the last time I actually wrote something was. I mean, the only thing I get frustrated about now is like my nephew lives with us now, and that's pretty much the only thing I get frustrated about. That's a whole other story. It's a long backstory on that one. But I mean, yeah, if I could probably write something.
Yeah.
I'm not like, since my nephew's been living with us, I buy lots of art supplies, canvases, paint, stuff like that. We're always doing something stupid like that. Well, it's not stupid, but I'll just do some weird crafty thing. Mine's more of technology, like you wouldn't be able to see it. But we created this. So on our wall, we have some black chalkboard paper, and like we have fish tanks, right? So we have 3 fish tanks. One's in my nephew's room, 2 over in the living room. And so what my nephew came up with was, oh, well, let's create a fish feeding thing so that when we feed them, you check, you put a check mark on the chalkboard so that you know that they're fed.
Right.
So because I like technology, and I don't know if you guys know what a Raspberry Pi is. It's a little small computer, size computer.
Yes,
So,
I do.
Yeah, perfect. So what we did is we came up with basically a electronic version of this. So it's got 6 LEDs and it's got 3 buttons, and they're all LEDs are red until the fish are fed, and you press the button. And so, I mean, I like doing weird things like that.
Ooh, that could be useful for installation art.
Yeah.
Right now I'm working on I guess it's going to be a Halloween house. I'm just I'm just trying to get a servo to work and move the little slider in and out of the doorway, which I'm having a hard time with. Programming is not my thing, but I'm learning.
Where are you, Jerry? Are you in Fredericton?
I'm in St. John.
Oh, St. John.
Yeah.
Because I know St. John just had a festival. What was it called? I know in Fredericton it's called Illuminate, and St. John was something similar. I forget now, but it was like a Nuit Blanche, like it was light sculptures and all kinds of stuff, like art exhibits outside.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I saw something about that. I mean, it wasn't really my thing, so we didn't really go out and look at it.
Yeah.
And due to other certain family situations,
Sure.
we try and not go too many places at the moment.
Yeah.
Sure.
But no, I mean, stuff like that definitely interests me.
Yeah.
I think it was like by Harbor Passage.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's new. They just this year was the first year. I think it was just like a couple of weekends ago. And next weekend it's the one in Fredericton. It's called Illuminate. And then Jessica and I next month are going to Nocturne. It's called in Halifax. We're doing a thing called Quiet. It's
Quiet Parade.
Quiet Parade. So essentially, it's a parade that's.
Is that for autism?
It's for people with, it's like a low sensory parade. So like they're keeping the light down, they're keeping the sounds down, and it's scent reduced as well, which is really cool. So it makes it more accessible to people who would normally be able to go to a parade because of those kind of barriers. Because this, everybody should be able to go have fun.
Definitely.
And it's like, it's during the afternoon, because usually those light festival things are at night, right? And
Night.
it can be quite late, you know, it'll start at like 9, 10 p.m.
Yeah.
and go till 3 in the morning. And this is like, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon or something.
3 in the afternoon. Yeah, it's completely opposite. So it's very exciting. We were actually going to start our project on Friday, and I realized that I had booked a venue because like I needed more rooms. So I booked like a church hall, and I booked it for during a hurricane, and I'm like, oh no. So we didn't end up going. We're gonna hopefully go
Yeah.
this week. And I'm prototyping some stuff on my kitchen table.
Yeah, like it's really cool because all the people in the Quiet Parade are artists with disabilities, and some of them are from outside of the province. So there's this lady who does she graduated in her I think masterate or doctorate in disability studies, and she's doing like I forget what, like some crazy art installation. And then there's the wheelchair dancers from Halifax who do like circus arts. It's so cool. Like, oh, the lineup is crazy. So
I'm so excited.
hoping, yeah. So and for like I did apply for Illuminate, and we do like I technically have a spot there, but it is because it's next week, and because there was like miscommunications with them. I guess they weren't receiving emails or something. We won't have enough time to do something like that, but for next year, I would definitely love to do something like a Quiet Parade for the one in Fredericton. And I realized you, some of you are in different parts of the province, but like I said, there's one in St. John, there's one in Moncton, I believe. So hopefully we can do something like that, and hopefully like record it, like do like a
absolutely
a virtual thing, because I believe the one in Halifax Nocturne, they have an audio describer, and I think there's a radio you can tune in, and she's going to be describing all the events in the parade, and it's like a huge lineup. Like Anna Kwan is going to be reading poems. Like, oh my god, it's a whole thing.
I'm very excited.
Very
Actually,
excited.
so this isn't an art thing really, but I'm really excited. So like at MBCC, I'm part of the MU team, and
MU?
they do like multi computing. I'm just like I'm a disability advocate, and I bring accessibility features to everybody's projects. But so for this week, like they have a talk every Thursday, so I get to talk about policies, like all the household income policy and other ways that people have been discriminated against in the disability community. So and Lucas, my partner, was like, oh, they don't know what they opened up with there. They opened a can of worms up. We getting you to talk about social justice, but I'm really excited.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm not sure if you guys could give me a definition. I hear a lot about ableism. I don't know what it means. I don't understand it. So what is it that's bad about that? Like why?
Ableism?
Kelly, you go.
Well, I don't even, when there's systemic ableism, it's like when people say to you things like midget, it's using those the same way that there's racism and they use your race against you. Ableism is when they're basically turning our disability against us, and people are making inappropriate terms, and they're making these assumptions that if you have a disability, again, it goes back to that notion that everybody with a disability is sitting in a wheelchair in the corner with an IQ of 6 and drooling. And look, there are some people that have got intellectual disabilities, and there's some people that are in
Stop
wheelchairs.
saying that.
No, but
Well,
I'm saying,
it's
for
so
example,
true.
it's because it's the truth, exactly. And so, yes, there are people that've got intellectual disabilities. My daughter's one, she's low IQ. That's okay. Because she says to me all the time, you guys don't get to see the world the way I do. You lose out. I love it. Between her autism and her low IQ, she says that all the time. There are people that are in wheelchairs. Absolutely, they have to be. But it's not, the disability is not our bodies. the disability are the barriers in society that have been put up to hamper our movements.
Lack
So
of
the
accommodation.
simple, definition is discrimination in favor of able-bodied people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not just name calling or whatever.
Right.
It's like
It's discrimination. Yeah.
yeah.
And,
So
and people
it
making assumptions, like Shelley said. So, I went out for Halloween and they seen me go out and I was a little kid and they're like, this woman was like, oh my God, can she talk? And my friend was like, can she talk? She doesn't shut up. Like she's fine.
Now, what
Or-
about,
Go ahead.
like, for example, like I know a lot of people in wheelchairs, and I said to a person one time, I said, being a little person, I said, I can identify with the person in the wheelchair because the way I stand to next to somebody in a wheelchair, I'm the same height. Do you know what I mean? So they seem to get a lot of what I'm saying when I say I can't reach this or can't reach that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though I can walk, we still share that in common, right?
Yeah.
yeah. So what's an interesting thing about ableism is that people without disabilities can still experience ableism. So for example, like the working world is a great example. The way our culture is set up, right? Like the 9 to 5, like you got to keep up, fast pace, blah blah blah. If you can't make
Keeping
it,
up with the Joneses. Yeah.
your skills and abilities. It's all focused on that. Like they're not focused on, like, say in an accessible world, it would be focused on your employees and the care and working in a team and what would it look like, if there was part-time work or occasional work that had supports that you could live off of. You know what I mean? Like, what if it was like set up that way? There's all kinds of better systems than the one we have.
And
Where
just
people
to clarify, ableism and systemic ableism, it's two different things, really. Like systemic ableism is that you are not, I want to say prejudiced, but sort of, and you don't even know it because it's what society has showed you. It's the same as systemic.
It's all you know.
Like, that you don't realize that when you see like a black man on the side of the street and he has a hoodie on, that you're locking your doors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what, like, you don't even realize. It's because that's what the media,
we've been taught,
society has shown you, and you're just like trapped in that, and you don't even know that you are.
And it becomes very evident when you watch like older movies, right? Like the racism that was normal back then.
About Archie Bunker.
Before, no, but like even before.
Oh my God, yes.
Like when
It was
women weren't allowed
horrible.
to vote, like there's all kinds of stuff like that, and that's what's interesting.
Watch that now and you cringe.
And
I'm surprised it's even allowed on TV.
Yeah.
Some of the systemic ableism too shows through in a lot of our, policy and government, right?
Yeah.
Because it's those policies that we have that are discriminating against people systemically, because the system is discriminating against disabled people. It's discriminating against people of color. It's discriminating against like Indigenous people. Like, there's a lot of that type of discrimination too in policy, and that's when it starts becoming, it's when the systemic word starts coming into it as well, because it's these systems.
That's a group. That's a group that has seen a lot of it too.
So like in the arts, for example, when you apply for arts grants to get your project funded, those grant applications are not in plain language. They're pretty complex.
They're so hard. They're so hard.
Yeah. So there is now for Arts NB, you can call and have assistance. So they will help you find you a person to help you. Like you can hire
help you complete it. Yeah.
So So they will fund a grant writers, like it was like what I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's other things like, for example, we're talking about plays earlier, right? So like, I don't know how many movies there are like where they have like an able-bodied person playing a disabled person and they give that person a fucking
Mhm.
Oscar and you're just like,
Yeah,
oh wow, you really, and it's like, you know nothing. You know nothing
I
about
know nothing. Yeah.
like why
Yeah.
didn't you hire somebody like an actor who has that disability? It's like,
Good
Yeah.
doctor, good example of that.
sorry.
Walks up to
Good
the
doctor.
podium and you're like, oh my God, it's a miracle. He got cured.
I got told
So
I didn't
here,
have enough.
I'm just going to share this with you guys. I found a really good article. So when it's talking about systemic ableism, right? And it's talking about the barriers, and there's all these different barriers that form systemic ableism. So one is attitudinal barriers, right? So it's attitudes that are in society, harmful beliefs about people with disabilities that can lead to harassment, physical violence towards them, like things like, oh, I don't know, institutionalizing people, oh my God, I'm struggling with words, rendering them infertile, sterilization, things like that, right? Those attitudes. Back in the, it wasn't that long ago, and in some places they still sterilize people, for God's sake. Then you have communication barriers, where like the province of New Brunswick still does not have their fucking website completely accessible. Inexcusable. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. Inexcusable. There are physical barriers, which we
A
all
safe
know
space,
about.
Shelley. It's a safe
Yes.
space.
Physical barriers.
That's awesome.
Yeah. There are physical barriers out there, which we all know about. And for example, Ysabelle brought up Ysabelle and someone else was discussing on our Facebook page earlier, maybe yesterday, about is there an EMO, an emergency measures plan for persons with disabilities? And Ysabelle put up the link and I looked at it. It is so up to date. It reminds you to have quarters or payphones. And it talks about some other things. And I'm like, okay, so it's got a plan. It is way too, it's too big and huge and long, and it combines with, like, it's not well done. But I also think that the way the government wrote it, since they say everybody in a wheelchair, in a motorized wheelchair, should have at least one backup battery, I'm thinking that whole social development liable to have to provide you with a backup battery, doesn't it? And if you're insulin dependent, you have to have extra insulin needles, da 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 da. So does that not hold social development liable to have to provide you with those?
And
It
it's like,
should.
we're talking about systemic ableism. And one of the things is that, most of us are living in poverty, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
These are
Because
the
of government
effects.
policies. Yeah.
Yeah. It's legislated poverty.
Right. And that's your policy barriers, the legislative poverty. They keep you stuck in the system, right? They say some examples include denying qualified individuals access to opportunities to participate or benefit from programs, to access funded programs, to get their education, like at UMB, when they can't get you to class because your class is on the second floor, but there's no elevator in that building, and the professor refuses to now teach on the first floor because they always like teaching on the second floor. And when the universities in New Brunswick refuse donations from alumni, when alumni are trying to give money to the school to build accessible dorm rooms or accessible classrooms, but they refuse it because they don't want to do the work.
What?
And this happens.
Yeah.
This happens.
Who refuses donation money? Like what?
All the universities in New Brunswick do,
Mount-
because they do not
Mount
want
Allison.
to put in. Yeah,
Wow.
Mount Allison, UMB, St. Thomas,
Where did you learn about that? Where is
from
that?
professors on campus and students on
From
campus.
From the horse's mouth.
I
That's
feel like
right.
you need to write an article about that. I haven't.
Oh, it's
heard about
coming.
that.
We were
It's
trying
coming.
to get. We were trying to get the groups to do something. We were working with ACID, which is the Mount Allison group. I know it's a weird name, but that's their name. And we were trying to get them working to do more and to protest this, because even student services, what people go through at university, like when 10 years ago, or for example, my daughter who teaches in Ontario, she gets a letter or notification from the registrar at the start of the semester, says, okay, so for class, Intro to Anthropology 102. You have 4 students who are going to need Braille notes. You have 4 students who are going to need large notes. You've got 3 students who are going to be recording. She can't say no to recording. That's part of their accommodation. They will be recording. She also has to provide her notes down to the printer, something like 10 days before, all the notes for the year before class starts. And they will be done up in Braille. They will be done up in large print. They will be done this way. And then back to the registrar so that these students get them. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts. In New Brunswick, you go and say, oh, well, I'd like to record class, and the professor can say no, and that's all there is to it.
Can I mention something too?
Yeah.
It's really, for example, I got equipment provided to help me with my GED.
Mhm.
Okay. And I got a program, a screen program, I got a computer, and that was great. That came from the, what is it?
Yes.
Probably Easter Seal.
No, Neil Squire.
Okay.
So now I'm at a lower reading level. And they're saying that because I have trouble with comprehension, I can read anything but to understand it. So
Yep.
therefore, I went back to a couple agencies and asked them for help of they have a special pen out there. It's called a C pen.
Yep.
You scan it and it reads it for you.
Yep.
They will not cover that because I'm not in the GED level.
Yep.
Anything below the GED level, you can't get anything covered for. Anything above that, you can.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
I
see,
know.
that's an example of like, clearly they don't,
Yeah.
systemic
Programmatic barriers that are
Yeah.
systemically ableistic because yeah. They talk about programmatic barriers, which is part of the this is one of my favorite words, the medical industrial complex. It's one of my favorite terms. And if anybody wants to know more about the medical industrial complex, I took a great course last year through the Health Justice Commons. They're based out of the States. If you can afford it, you can make a donation, but they don't turn anyone down. I believe it's Thursday nights for an hour and a half or something. And it lasted, I don't know, a couple months. And it was so cool. I learned so much. And they re-offer it. I've got to remember, I'll put it up on the page. Really cool group, really, really, really cool people. They've all endured either born with a disability or fallen sick and now have lost a lot of their access in life, or are young doctors who want to make sure they don't screw this up. Those are the ones I really appreciate because they would say, can I reach out to you and learn more about MCS Tilt? We had 2 minutes of class about that. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But so cool.
So there's definitely lots of cool things out there.
Yes.
One of which is the 10 Principles of Disability Justice.
Yep.
Which was coincidentally created by some disabled artists. So I've put the link in the chat here. Let me see.
Yeah.
But like these people who wrote these like the Sims Invalid, there's a group of people, disabled artists who's written like a bunch of books on disability pride, and they talk about things like access intimacy and disability culture, and kind of like, you know, how we add to the conversation. You know what I mean? It's not just that we want equity and that we want to be the same as others, but we actually have a valuable point of view to show in the art world. Like we can influence how things are made. Like one of the activists and writers talked about Crypt the Vote, which is something that happened in the States, and they kind of mobilized a bunch of disabled people, and they influenced the politics. Like she met Barack Obama. Like, I don't know. I've been reading about Alice Wong, and she's amazing. Like, oh, can't get enough.
Are you reading her memoir?
Yeah, I'm reading it's a book called Year of the Tiger. It's just been published. And
I was gonna bring up possibly it could be a interesting activity for the group if we can find like enough copies or like accessible copies for screen readers and stuff like that. Like if we could,
It's on
it-
Bookshare. So if anybody has
Yeah.
access
Yeah.
to Bookshare, which you should, because you would have access to the CLA library through the public library.
And
But
then
yeah.
there's also, I believe it was maybe Ysabelle that shared something today. And there's like a disability
Disabled book
book
club?
club. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Like there's at least like 10 books, like, you know, disability, visibility, care work. Oh man, I'm reading Year of the Tiger. They're so good. They're so good.
I've got funny you say that. I've got a friend that just said that like 2 days ago. She's reading this book. She's like, you have to read it. It's You're the Tiger. So
Yes.
cool.
Yes.
Okay.
And
I'll read
what she's
it.
done, she's written it in a sci-fi sort of way. She's written it like they call it like a crypt future. So she's written it, and I forget the year, like I don't know, 2060, you know. And she's talking about what life would be, you know, in the future. And she calls herself a cyborg because she has all these assistive devices, you know. And she's like, well, pretty much, you know, like. And she talks about like her disabled activist friends who like make their, you know, white cane black, and they, you know, make it look cool, because like kids are always wanting to see those things, right? They love assistive technology. They think it's cool, and it is. And we are the cyborgs. Like that's what we like.
I'm all right.
I put
You know what I mean?
Christmas lights on
Sorry.
I put Christmas lights on my white cane at Christmas.
Awesome.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's rewriting the story, right? Because it's like you could have other people write stories about us, and it's never as good as, you know, fun and creative ways that we can.
I did that one year and I got in trouble for it.
You did what?
By who?
I put lights on my cane, and the head CNIB person pulled me in the office and said, don't ever do that again.
He's crack.
Yeah.
Well,
What
I-
that?
I
Crack
get
the head with
it.
cane.
What's that? Any of his or her business?
They were saying because it takes away from the,
The seriousness
uh,
of it?
yeah.
My
We do not need to be crying in the corner all the time, you know?
Oh my
Well,
god.
I thought it was kind of cute. I got a kick out of
Yeah.
it.
Well, yeah, it's a tool to help you. It's not. That's what it is.
I didn't
Yeah.
take away from the cane. All I did was put it on the top of the handle.
It's like putting lights on my chair, my wheels, or something. There's no difference. Oh my god. I would put a complaint in
Well,
against
and
it.
that's like I
Somebody's
do.
butts want a little bit too tight.
Take those
Sorry.
little bracelets from the dollar store, and I do like the reflective. You know, if I'm wheeling in the dark or something.
So if we do, well, not if, sorry, when we do, when we do our quiet parade in New Brunswick, will we put, what do you guys think about putting, what are they called? They're like caps you put on your wheels. So we could make like paintings on the thing and put it as like a cap.
Almost like hubcaps.
Hubcaps, yeah. So when you spin with the wheel, it would, you know, show a piece of art on each side instead of the spokes.
Oh, yeah.
And then we could like put spikes on your handles, because we don't want anybody mishandling you, you know, you'd be like, get off my chair, you know, because people will do that, right? They'll come up behind you and they'll start pushing you, and you'd be like, listen, get away from me.
Okay. All right.
Or
So just before we go, because it's almost 8:30, I would like a few minutes to pick everybody's brain on here. This Thursday, I will be talking to the commission that looks at boundary changes. So they already have, every 10 years, they have to waste all kind of taxpayers' monies and relook at all the boundaries for elections. So I've already talked to the provincial one. This is the federal one. Apparently, I am the only person who is asked to speak to them for the province of New Brunswick. Oh, well.
Kelly, could you explain what boundaries are?
So boundaries, you know, when you go vote, they take it, yeah, they change. So in Fredericton, for example, or New Brunswick, let's look at New Brunswick. I believe there are now 11 seats federally in New Brunswick. So at the next federal election, there are 11 seats up for change. Because our population has increased a little bit, it looks like we're going to gain 1, maybe 2 more federal seats. So they're going to have to change where the lines are drawn, right? So for example, in St. John, they're talking about making a change, and everyone who lives in St. John is going to go, that makes no sense. It's going to be from after the harbor. So once you cross the harbor, it's going to go harbor all the way out and include Quispam, Rossay, up to Hampton. That's going to become a boundary. Well, I'm not done. The other boundary is going to go St. John West is going to be mixed in with St. George and Fundy the Isles up to St. Stephen. That's going to be another boundary. So St. John West, St. Stephen, St. Andrews, Deer Island, Grand Manan, St. George is going to be one new boundary. And then the rest of St. John mixed in with like Rossay, Quispam, which they already had some with Rossay, Quispam, Hampton, Bloomfield, the whole shebang. That's a change they're talking about. In
Why?
Fredericton, because they have to add 2 new seats because of the size of the population. So they have to jimmy rig the whole thing around. So
Like,
where they're going to make
when you're trying to sit in a crowd and you say, can you scoot over?
yeah. So they're just moving the lines around. So when they're making boundary changes, there are things that they want to know, like they can't change, they can't like not do it. They have to base it off the population, all that. And they're saying, so what is it that you would like us to know? And I've said things like, well, when you make boundary changes and you just start changing, and we're going to move 3 seats, like I look at provincially when they took like moved 2 seats down off Harbor and moved it into West Side. That screwed up so many people that for years always voted Harbor and now had to vote Lancaster. And you might think that that's an easy thing to adjust to, but if you are autistic and you've always done it this way and then they make this quick last minute change, it can be confusing. Or if you're blind or have low vision and you've always walked a certain route because you've always voted the same polling station and now it has to change, things like that. So I've said to them, things I'd like you guys to keep in mind is just making changes for the sake of making changes so that you can like drop all kinds of new stuff and spend all kinds of our taxpayers' money. Keep in mind things like bus routes. People have to be able to get there. And do not tell us because we have a disability that we can just vote by paper. Maybe we want to vote by paper ballot, but we have the choice. Try to make sure you have things on bus routes, that you're not changing some of the traditional places where we vote. So is there anything that you guys can think of that you want them to know in terms of when they're changing boundaries federally that we feel that they need to be aware of? And it has nothing to do with voting. So we can't say, well, make sure the churches are where we're voting is accessible, because that's elections New Brunswick, or elections Canada, things like that. But you want them to know about boundaries that would make a difference. So Kathleen, yes.
So like with Ability Transit, we serve Moncton. So
Mhm.
it's
Oh, did I freeze or did Kathleen freeze?
Kathleen froze.
Okay.
sorry. Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm plugged in. Like I have a plug to like my modem with my Ethernet. Like it's so annoying. Okay, so like with Ability Transit, like our boundaries is like the city of Moncton and stuff. So that's gonna affect like if boundaries start to expand, that's gonna affect transportation, like budgets will have to be.
It's only going to change for the purpose of elections. It's not going to change like what is Moncton. It's only going to change for the purpose of the election.
Okay.
For federal elections, right? It's not going to change what are the actual boundaries for Moncton. This is just in terms of voting. But
Okay.
I talked about things like, you've got to make it in plenty of time and very clear so that people have time to adjust to these changes, because whether you're a senior that has to change where you vote, if you're a person like that with odds, any of these disabilities, it can make it very difficult. And when I brought it up provincially, they were like, we never thought of any of that stuff. Because I was the only person that spoke provincially as well. And they said, thank you very much. I said, I know that you can't make sure that everything's on a bus route. But even where candidates put their offices or where the returning office is, make sure at least that is accessible to us. And they said, well, what happens when you bring it up to Elections New Brunswick? I said, nothing. There's a Green candidate in Fredericton who is trying to get a copy of the Finance Act for her candidate in Braille. And they said, we don't do that. I said, don't worry, I'll help you. They're gonna find a way to do it for Braille. They also claim that it is no problem to get a Braille ballot to vote in New Brunswick. And I was led to believe opposite.
Can I speak about the visually
Please.
impaired voting?
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of people here in Moncton, or can't say about the surrounding area, but a lot of they usually go in with somebody, like a person that could go and read what was on the ballot, right? And I think there is some that is done in Braille, if I'm not mistaken, right? And they put like an X. But the thing is, like, if it's like getting things written up like in Braille, it takes so much. Like Braille is so comprehensive that, like, for example, you could bring up, let's say, talking about the boundaries. So you put that in Braille, it's like a big, huge book. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if they want to access it, if they want blind people to access it, have it in auditory. Do you know what I mean? Like any of the changes that they're making, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like the ballots, yes, they can do that in Braille. That's no problem. But I do know, like, for example, myself, I had to go up a bunch of steps and go around the corner, and I was in this very small room, right? Claustrophobic. Like if a person had to go in with a wheelchair or anything, it wasn't accessible.
Yeah. Okay.
And they say it's accessible, and that's crap, right?
Well, they're probably accessible for the smaller manual ones, but the electric ones, what's the way I'm supposed to say it? It's not electric, motorized? Is that the right way to say it?
Power chair.
Mariette?
Yeah,
What?
the power chair.
Power chair. All right.
Because
they're
motorized
larger.
power chair.
Motorized power chair. Okay.
Just
As
so
long
people
as it
there's
gets
no-
me where I'm going, I don't care.
I know.
I love that wheelchair that Ysabelle just posted. I'm like, I need me one of them.
Yeah, it's called opulent mobility. I mean,
Oh,
Nice.
let's take a look.
can you share the screen? Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can share it.
Opulent.
Opulent. So it's like, it's.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
That's a
share
little
that
bit
thing.
opulent. Yeah, I'm gonna.
There, right.
What is it?
It looks like something. That's what the Queen was using before she passed, maybe. or
Oh,
something.
my.
For crying out loud.
So you know what I mean? Like, let's
Can you say tacky?
Wow.
So this is
I like it.
Yeah.
I like boho style, but that's even too boho for me.
Okay, but like if you were to make something like that, what would you do? You know what I mean? Like this is just a prompt, right?
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
How,
you
do, how would you pimp your chair? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would be the chair.
Would it be pink?
Be well, shades of pink, but be the
Yeah.
Beaded
beaded,
chair.
like bead
Oh.
sculpture.
Can
Yeah.
you bring
Okay.
that up again, Shelley?
Sure. Let me sec.
I've got a manual chair that it's just for transportation. I could like do something up with that and take a picture. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
I've wanted to do something.
Go to
Because I think-
Frenchie's there
for a
and
long time.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you
'cause
what
it's-
I want to do is take a toy wheelchair and
Yeah.
kind of deck it up like that. See if I can do it.
You have
That'd
a
be
toy
fun
wheelchair?
project.
No, but like a doll's wheelchair and try to decorate it like that. I think
Where do
that'd be
you
nice.
find a doll's wheelchair? Those are
Barbie
rare,
wheelchair.
man.
I actually know where to find those because I do
Oh.
doll stuff.
Toys R Us, Barbie. Barbie is
our-
okay.
And if you want one for 18-inch dolls, our generation has them, and so does American Girl. You can get American Girl stuff from Chapters, and our generation stuff, you're gonna get that from Toys R Us.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you can also get like crutches and different things too, because they have some representation in dolls, a little bit, not as much as they should.
I have
but-
an antique youth one in my shed that I found on
So-
Kijiji and paid $50 for. It's just sitting in my shed.
Back
It's an
to
antique what?
Shelley just for a
Yeah.
sec. So is, you know, is masks a boundary?
No, that's
Okay.
a policy at election time. This is
Oh.
just where they're making the lines for the new, where you vote and what are things we want them to keep in mind. So here, just a sec, let me look at the old PowerPoint, what I had in it. That's not the one we want. File. Boundary
Yeah, like-
changes.
Would it affect people being able to, like, because of boundaries, like Ability Transit, we our boundaries with, and if like
Yes,
it's gone
absolutely.
beyond, and it's like, sorry, we can't get you there. You'd have to take
It
a
could, depending on if a certain boundary in Moncton, because they're talking about doing a change with Moncton area, and if they change something and you can, yeah, it could.
Yeah, because if you're stuck taking a private van, it's like minimum $20 one way.
Right. They'll say to you, well, you can vote by paper. And to which I have no choice but to vote by paper. But that should not be a forced decision on everyone, right? So the things that I have in our PowerPoint, I start with just the basics because they have no idea how many people have disabilities. I go back to our basics of the 26.7. I talk about who we are as a coalition. I have a screenshot of pictures of a bunch of us saying these are some of our members so they can put a face to a name. I have the one that I use all the time that this is what most people associate with the disability. It's, a young girl with Down syndrome, a gentleman in a wheelchair getting into the back of a van, and then a character sketch of people with crutches, wheelchairs. There's a gentleman who has the white cane. There is a little person with glasses. There's a service, all those things, right? And then I go on to the,
Sorry.
but too many of us forget the 70% with invisible disabilities, right? So they have to keep all these in mind. And then I say in an inclusive society, we say that building of inclusive and vibrant democracy solely depends on the engagement of all. The
Who did
words that
these?
we say and the reality that we see around us don't correlate. Persons with disabilities are treated as second-class citizens, and that affects our right to participate fully in political and electoral processes, et cetera, et cetera. And then the things that I've said that we'd like, to keep in mind are that prepare the separate data of registered persons with disabilities to facilitate them accordingly in upcoming elections. So they should have a list. And they should know, and they should, take time, each candidate, I've got these 25 or 50 or 100, and make sure that they all understand where they vote, how to get out, all that stuff. They have volunteers that can do that stuff. Talked about the gross lack of transit in New Brunswick, especially rural New Brunswick, which makes it very difficult to vote. And that's when boundaries are well known. When they start to change them, it's going to make it even more difficult. That we have a democratic right to vote, and that when they are changing these boundaries, they have to keep in mind our ability to get to places, to speak with candidates, and to run if we so choose. And where they decide when they change boundaries, it affects where voting station placements are put. And when they change these polling stations, they are ending up in inaccessible buildings, that are either inaccessible because of the physicality of the building or the lack of transit to them. That when they
You
start to change
that on
long,
purpose?
what's that?
Do you think they do that on purpose?
No, I think that they are just completely ignorant.
Okay.
Like the last one, they were
Yeah.
just like in shock when I was going over the stuff with them. They're going like,
That's what
That's
systemic
ableism. Yeah,
That's what
Yeah.
it is. That's
Yeah.
what I was explaining earlier.
yeah. So,
It's
and
not
that's
good
what I
for
talked
us.
about with them. So I have until my meeting with them is Thursday evening So if any of you guys think of anything at all between now and then that you think should be mentioned, just shoot me a note, throw it, Messenger, Facebook, whatever. Because I just want to make sure they keep us in mind. That's all. I want to
Now,
make sure that we can vote and that we can run if we so choose to run. Because I basically said to the guy, if politicians don't start listening to us, then we are going to be left with no option but to run and take over the government.
Sounds good.
And they laughed, and I said, "Oh no, I'm serious." And one of them on the committee knew me. He said, "Yeah, she probably is serious." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." Like, what?
so would it be harder to get like a special ballot?
Nope. Special
Okay.
ballots are mailed out, so that
Okay.
wouldn't change it. It's more
That's
along the
just how
line.
I do it.
Yeah,
But you shouldn't have to do it that way.
you shouldn't
That's
have to do it that way.
That's
I miss not being able to go in and vote.
I
It
just
really upsets
prefer
me.
it because of COVID.
Yeah.
I hate going in.
So, anyways, my fever's acting up, so I'm gonna leave. And I'm just gonna leave my system on till you guys log out because it's recording the chat. But when you guys log out, it will just record it. But
Can I just
Um,
say something positive that happened to me yesterday?
Oh,
absolutely,
yes. Yep.
Okay.
You
please.
can continue.
I have an intervener through the Canadian Deafblind Rebel Association.
Okay.
She's been with me for 12 years. And she got nominated for the national award for Intervener of the Year.
Wow, that's awesome.
So for
Sweet.
all the ones that work across Canada, she got picked number one.
Wow.
That's awesome. That's
Now,
very cool.
Paulette, if you don't mind me asking, what's an intervener?
An intervener is a person that helps a person that's visually and hearing impaired to see the world through their eyes. That's how I say
Okay.
it. She helps me to understand my world around me when I can't understand it myself.
Okay.
That could
Thank
be,
you. I didn't
Oh,
know
yeah.
that.
yeah.
And so just quickly, Ysabelle and Jess and Kathleen, I know have been chatting before I came down with COVID again about setting up a date. I'm sorry I didn't fall through any of that. I thought it was bad the first time. It was nothing compared to this. So I'm at the point that I'm like, it's either going to get better or I'm going to shoot myself now. So like next week, I'm
Really?
just going back.
Little
Last year,
dark, Shelley, a little dark.
Well, I hope
I'm
you
going
feel
back to work next week and I don't care. So
Shelley,
Um,
if you don't feel up to doing the coffee chat schedule, let me know.
oh, no. That's what that we can do that tomorrow. I just
Okay.
going a little bit slow. So I will reach out to you guys next week and we're gonna get a schedule together about stepping
Sketch
forward with the
night?
ruckus and getting it
Yeah,
started.
yeah.
Does that sound good?
you
Yeah.
think Muriel
All right.
could do a thing on Mandela's?
Oh yeah, we're making a schedule tomorrow. Caitlin and myself and Muriel are gonna meet at 11 and we're gonna work on the coffee chat schedule for the next few months. So we're gonna do on the last Sunday of the month will be this again, the art
Right,
one.
but I'm done in November. You realize
Yeah.
that? There's only a
Oh,
few
yeah.
left.
Yeah, there's only a couple left, I know. And then we're gonna do the second Sunday of the month. Paulette and Carly have put together an amazing
Suzanne.
started. Suzanne, oh, what'd I say?
Suzanne.
Paulette, sorry,
Yeah.
Suzanne and Carly are working on a mental health program, like for rejuvenation and feeling good, and it's really, really cool. Self-care stuff. And so we're gonna start doing that, I think, on the second one of each month. And they've got some different activities and we could bring people in. So that's one where we could do Mandela's for a night, or we could do some chair yoga, or we could do like some laughter yoga or different types of things like that, some breathing. So just different ways to work on some self-care and feel really good without
No, we bring in some goats and do goat yoga.
bring them to your house. All right.
I could.
We
All
could.
right. Well, it's
So all
8:30,
kinds of
past
cool things.
8:30.
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
go, guys. I'm sorry.
No
Yeah.
worries, darling.
you.
Yeah.
I have to
And I
go
gotta
to
go.
my-
So, yeah, so we will have the chat schedule out. Probably Tuesday before we post it realistically. And if anyone comes up or has any ideas about boundary changes that they want me to share, send them along. Yeah, and things are starting to move, and we're just gonna keep pushing because we're not letting them off the hook. And that includes, there'll be some stuff coming out from Disability Without Poverty about where we go next to kick the government in the butt on C-22,
Yeah.
because that was not acceptable, but we're not done. We're not even close to being done. We're just wound up now.
Yeah. Time to
All
put
right.
some magma lava under their hindquarters.
Oh,
Right.
yes, that's right. All right. Well, y'all have a
So we're
great
all-
night. And
we're all signing
we'll be,
off then?
what's that?
We're all signing off then?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, son, I
Okay.
think 30. I gotta go cry. The Patriots lost again today. So, it's
Take
like
care.
how it goes. Everyone take care, stay safe. And we'll talk to y'all soon.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, Isabel.
Yes.
Gone.
He's already gone.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah.
Have a good
Bye.
night. Bye.